Utah, the Beehive State, known for its large lake, its large Mormon community, and as of recently, its large redistricting scandal.
Lawmakers violated Utah voters' rights when they rejected the maps that were drawn up by the Independent Redistricting Commission.
The judge has thrown out the maps that make up Utah's 4 congressional districts, siding with voters' rights groups who say the legislature made them to preserve Republican power.
A state representative said he wants to impeach the judge who ruled against the legislature on Utah's new congressional map.
This might get complicated. Utah's population of 3.5 million people is the 30th largest of the United States, landing at 4 seats in the United States House of Representatives. That's 1 seat for every 876,000 people, leaving Utahans? Utonians?
Utes.
Utahns? Less represented than the national average. Question number 1. What is wrong with the current map? In the 2024 U.S. House races across Utah, Republicans won 62.8% of the popular vote, compared to the Democrats' 32.5%, with 4.7% total going to members of smaller parties and independents. While this was already a landslide victory for Republicans, their seat allotment in the House was even more so. If 62.8% of Utah's seats went to the Republicans, they'd have 2.5 seats. And since we can't allot half a seat, we round up to 3, leaving 1 to represent the 1/3 of the state who voted Democrat. However, the Republicans walked away with all 4 seats. On paper, this doesn't seem like too bad of a thing. After all, it was a landslide victory, and what difference does a single seat make? And, as explained in the first episode of this gerrymandering series, creating truly fair representation can be incredibly hard and is sometimes impossible. But it's not impossible here. Instead of looking at the party wins by district, let's see how the voters turned out by county. This is Salt Lake County, home to Salt Lake City, the newly minted and awesomely named Utah Mammoth hockey team, and 1.2 million people. 1/3 of the entire state's population, and more than enough to create a single voting district based on the interests of the city. But if we return to the district map and zoom in on Salt Lake City, we find out that it has been divided into pieces and spread out across all 4 of the current districts. This is one of, if not the most common gerrymandering tactics around: cracking and packing. By cracking the area into pieces and packing its voters into multiple districts, the voting power of Salt Lake City Metro is diluted and overpowered by voters who live in far more rural areas, some of which are located over 300 miles away. Given that so few people live in these stretches of southern Utah, there's no surprise that these districts have to cover a large amount of land. But when the voting interests of the voters living here and the voters living here differ so greatly, to put them in the same district is an obvious attempt to gerrymander the people of Salt Lake City out of fair representation. Question number 2. What is being done to fix the situation? There's good news and there's bad news. On one hand, a new map which directly solves the Salt Lake representation issue is technically already on its way, but on the other hand, it isn't without its own controversy. The story of how we got here begins in 2018 with a statewide ballot measure, Utah Prop 4, which aimed to create an independent commission to draw and recommend congressional districts to the state legislature following a specific set of guidelines. The measure passed by the slimmest of margins, fewer than 7,000 votes, smaller than a single percentage point of total voters. The commission had to attempt to follow the following criteria as best as possible in order of priority. 1. Spread the population equally across all districts. 2. Minimize the division of municipalities and counties into multiple districts. 3. Make districts geographically compact. 4. Make districts contiguous and navigable. 5. Preserve traditional neighborhoods and local communities of interest. 6. Follow natural and geographic boundaries. And 7. Maximize the agreement of boundaries between districts. This means to not split up pre-existing political areas such as neighborhoods, subdivisions, and school districts. Following so far? Great, because it's about to get more complicated. Just 2 years later, the state legislature passed Senate Bill 200, which among its amendments to the redistricting guidelines allowed for partisan gerrymandering and demoted the commission's role from drawing the new lines to simply advising the legislature who would draw the map themselves. The bill was challenged in court by the League of Women Voters of Utah in partnership with other groups and individuals, claiming that it violated the state constitution's guaranteed right to direct lawmaking through ballot initiative, and that allowing for partisan gerrymandering violated the protection of free elections. The bill was ultimately struck down after the Utah State Supreme Court determined that the bill did in fact violate the right of Utahns to alter and reform their government, and Prop 4 became the law of the land. Still with me? Because it's not over yet. This year, the state legislature put forth a map which only cracked and packed the Salt Lake City Metro into 2 districts instead of 4, which would be more competitive than they used to be, but would still lean significantly enough in favor of Republicans to keep the elections safe. Because this map still violated multiple Prop 4 criteria, it was challenged again in court and outright dismissed by a Salt Lake County district judge, and a new map was approved in its place, finally creating a district fully inside the county, leading to a likely safe district for the Democrats and creating fairer local representation. So we're all good now, right? Right? Nope. Because not even 20 minutes after the ruling became public, Republican members of the state legislature began condemning the ruling and calling for impeachment hearings against the judge who had been appointed and confirmed by their own party. The Utah governor also publicly stated his support for an appeal of the ruling and reinstatement of the gerrymandered map. Even though the next congressional election is a year away, the filing period for candidates to run for primaries in Utah is in 7 weeks at the time of this recording. And they'll need to know which district they are eligible to represent. Whatever is going to happen needs to happen quickly. Stay strong, Utahns. We'll be thinking of you. Thank you for joining me for this very first state-by-state breakdown, and I hope you'll check out my new series on the broader political reality of gerrymandering. Comment down below your thoughts on the situation in Utah and which state I should feature next. Be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss a thing, and I'll see you next time.